Hi everyone, my name is Peter Kurekdal, and I'll be presenting a portion of the State of Vue 2021 report by Monterail. Before we dive into the report, I'd like to quickly introduce ourselves and tell you about our relationship with Vue.js. We're a software development company located in Wrocław, Poland. Since Monterail was founded in 2010, it's grown to 110 plus team members who've delivered over 300 projects to more than 170 clients. More than just numbers, we also have our own unique company culture. Here we are during a bunch of integration events, and we'd like to take this moment to introduce ourselves and thank you for having us here to present for you. Our experience with Vue, even though it started well before 2017, is most notably marked by VueConf. We hosted VueConf. It was the first international Vue.js conference right here in Wrocław. We were joined by over 300 members of the Vue community to see 17 speakers give 16 talks for a total of 8 knowledge-packed hours. There were also workshops, 2 non-official before parties and 1 official after party. Our first VueConf lives on in legend here at Monterail. Once we jumped in, Vue kind of attached itself to our daily lives and work culture. I mean, look at all the Vue emojis that we use on Slack. We even made Vue Brew, a Vue.js themed beer this year, to go along with the State of Vue report promotion. We also made a Vue beer for VueConf, so we're gaining some experience with the brewing. That brings us to the State of Vue 2021 report. This year, we had awesome expert contributors. You'll find a nice mix of people from outside and inside of the Vue.js core team. Working with the Vue community is really rewarding. Everyone was eager to share knowledge, experiences, and generally help out with the report. Hats off to all of you from the Monterail team, and thank you for helping us. The State of Vue Report 2021 is the 3rd edition, following up the 2017 and 2019 editions. We continue to create the report because we enjoy contributing to the Vue.js community. It also gives us the opportunity to stay in touch and monitor the growing popularity and progress of this framework that we use every day at Monterail. As Damian Dulish once said, Vue gave me the perfect opportunity to do something I've always dreamed of, to start giving back to the community. So, in that spirit, we're trying to continue down that same path. We conducted a survey with results from 1,635 people, mostly developers and CTOs from around the world, and asked them about their personal and organizational relationship with Vue.js. Most of the respondents were software developers from small teams in small and medium-sized businesses. We'd like to take a chance to thank all the organizations that helped us out by providing insights and case studies. Not only are you Vue supporters, but you all had very interesting goals and technical solutions. It was a pleasure to work with all of you, and we look forward to hearing from you in the future. Speaking of case studies, this year we're also releasing, for the first time, the Vue for Business report. It's a strictly business-related Vue report, including 7 case studies from companies around the world and other business-related info and data. Let's get back to the report and our massive survey and take a look at some of the key findings. In the survey, we asked people how long they've been using Vue in their organization. 41% responded that they'd been using it for over 2 years. This is a 39% increase from the same question in 2017. We can see that Vue is setting down roots as a long-term solution. And when it comes to organizations that adopted Vue less than 6 months ago, that number was 45% in 2017 and has dropped down to only 8% this year. Vue's documentation is legendary for being the best among modern frameworks. So it's no surprise that when we asked people how they continue to improve their knowledge of Vue, 93% responded it was the official documentation. Articles, blogs, and online communities followed as the most popular learning sources. It's great to see that the documentation maintained by the Vue team and the resources nurtured by the general Vue community continue to provide a strong learning resource. We continue to see projected growth in Vue's popularity. We asked people if they think more employees will be using Vue over the next 12 months. The majority told us yes. They do expect more people on Vue projects. These results are consistent with the results from 2017 as well as 2019. We asked a similar question, but this time we focused on upcoming Vue projects. What we saw was a strong majority of people who plan to use Vue in upcoming projects in their organization. We wanted to reach beyond our own survey results and gather even more data about Vue. So we decided to review over a dozen trusted sources and compared the results to previous years, as well as comparing Vue to other popular JavaScript frameworks. Here's a sample of what we found. Although Angular and React have stable positioning as the two most used frameworks, Vue.js has raised its rank by one position every year for the last 3 years. So let's keep our fingers crossed that in 2021 we can get that number 7 position. When we looked at the current internet landscape, we saw that Vue positions itself remarkably well. It has more live websites than Angular, and the ratio between live and live plus historical sites is the best in the comparison, meaning that projects that go online with Vue tend to stay alive longer. Thank you so much for listening to this part of the presentation. My colleague Artur Rosa will present more technical findings, and we also have a case study by Thomas Findlay to show how he decided to use Vue.js in his business and his experience with other frameworks. Thanks again.
Hi, I'm Artur Rosa. I'm web developer and front-end geek at Monterail. I'd like to show you some results from a bit more technical point of view. It's great that we got feedback from so many people using Vue. Thanks to this, we had the opportunity to find out not only why they use Vue, but also how they use it. I always try to use every opportunity to find the way other developers work. However, there is rarely the opportunity to talk to hundreds of them at once. Therefore, I couldn't wait for the results, and I'm very happy to share them with you. What's really great about Vue is that it is a very flexible framework. It's clearly seen in the answer to this question. We asked respondents which of the following use cases for Vue they had. Sure, the most common answer was that Vue controls the entire frontend in a single-page application. But we have to note that Vue is also used frequently for many different scenarios. It can add extra interactivity to a static site, it can enhance already existing apps and websites, it can control the entire frontend with server-side rendering, it can add extra interactivity to a backend application, it can also be used as a part of Jamstack architecture. As you can see, it hasn't changed much. Vue has been and still is used for many different use cases. We already know what we create. Now let's take a look at how we do it. Recently, we can observe a certain trend in the front-end world. More and more programmers are using TypeScript. This can be seen in the results of more general surveys, for example, State of JS. Our survey confirmed this trend also in the Vue community. As you can see, almost twice as many respondents use TypeScript in their projects. In our survey, we also asked a question: is there anything you are missing when it comes to Vue.js? And this year, a need for TypeScript support became a most popular answer to this question. What is great is that the core team is aware of this need. Vue 3 is written in TypeScript. This means there is no need for additional tooling to use TypeScript with Vue. I believe that also newly introduced Composition API will help with better TypeScript support. We asked our respondents about routing technology they use. Vue Router is by far the most used approach. Sometimes server-side routing is used. We also asked our respondents how they deal with a global state. Vuex is the most used approach here. Some projects had no global state, and some of them used simple solution with shared state on root component. Only a small number of respondents use other solutions. Again, the most used approach uses an official library, Vuex. You know, we are programmers. We love to implement custom solutions and we love to reinvent the wheel. I think those results say one thing. Those official tools solve real problems and they are good at it. If they weren't, programmers weren't use them. We asked our respondents how much of CSS was global in their last Vue project. As you can see, less and less styles are global. We have to look at the next result to get the answer why this is happening. And well, here it is. The overwhelming majority of respondents used some CSS scoping strategy in their projects in the last year. Scoped attribute for Vue files was the most common approach. This and the previous result show a certain trend, in my opinion. The fewer global styles and better style encapsulation, the more Vue components are similar to web components. We asked another question. How did you create your last Vue project? And well, definitely fewer programmers write their own build configuration. More people started to use automated tools to create a project. The most popular is Vue CLI, followed by tools of Nuxt and Quasar. In my opinion, there is no surprise here. Vue CLI is a great tool that helps developers to focus on delivery. It's not just a simple tool for prototyping. More often, it's a sufficient tool to manage very complex applications. Looking at the survey results, I got the impression that the Vue community has found its way in how to write applications well. Despite the variety, it seems to me that some trends in the way of creating and developing applications grew stronger. As I showed at the beginning, Vue is used in very different scenarios, and even so, the official tools and recommended approaches seem to be used even more often. This may indicate a lot of things. However, it seems to me that it is worth focusing on two aspects. Official tools are getting more and more mature. These tools, just like Vue, are very flexible and can be successfully used in a variety of scenarios. The second aspect worth highlighting is the great documentation that not only consists of API reference, but also the guide, the style guide, example, the cookbook, and even a guide for writing Vue documentation. For more precise numbers and even more interesting statistics, as well as comparison with other popular frameworks, I strongly encourage you to see the full State of Vue.js report on Monterail's website. Thank you for the opportunity to present at Vuejs Amsterdam conference. We also have a case study with Thomas Findlay to show a more business perspective of the use of Vue.js. So stay tuned and thank you again.
Hey, I'm Thomas Findlay. I'm going to present the case study of Findlay WebTech and talk about our journey with Vue. First, let me tell you a bit about myself. I'm a full-stack web and mobile developer, mentor, consultant, and the author of Vue, The Road to Enterprise, which is an advanced book that covers both Vue 2 and Vue 3. So I've been coding for almost 9 years now, and since then I've had quite a few different jobs and freelance contracts before establishing Findlay WebTech with my wife a few years ago. Findlay WebTech is a consulting business that offers various software services such as web and mobile development, consulting, mentoring, project audits, and so on. Initially, it was established as a local digital agency based in Glasgow. But very soon we started to work with developers and teams all around the world. I want to share with you our experiences with multiple frameworks and how we ended up using Vue.js. So, back in the days, jQuery used to be a staple choice for any kind of a project, really, due to the fact that it offered a lot of methods for dealing with DOM, animations, API requests, and so on. It also ensured cross-browser compatibility, which was quite important in the past because not all browser vendors implemented APIs in the same way. Unfortunately, there were things jQuery wasn't well suited for, especially in larger applications that involved a lot of dynamic API-driven content. As applications grew, they became much harder to maintain and scale, and it was very easy to end up with a lot of imperative spaghetti code. Therefore, we decided to look for a new solution that we could use to create web applications. There were three frameworks that we considered: Vue, React, and Angular. Angular, well, it was quickly dropped because it had a lot of frequent major releases with breaking changes. And to be honest, no one wants to be outdated by a major version every 6 months or so. What's more, it offered less flexibility than Vue and React, and also it would force us to use TypeScript. And whilst TypeScript is a really great tool, especially for large applications with a lot of developers in a team, we didn't necessarily want to be forced to use it on every single project. Therefore, nowadays we use both React and Vue interchangeably. And to be honest, Vue is the more favorite framework, and we usually choose it for new projects, unless a client requires a different tech stack or there is some other particular reason why Vue wouldn't be the most suitable choice. Vue has solved a lot of problems and made a lot of things easier for us. First of all, less code has to be written as Vue abstracts DOM handling, and it also updates the DOM automatically whenever reactive state changes. Instead of writing a lot of imperative code, and now we write declarative, so it's much more readable and easier to follow. Vue also made it easier to create applications overall, as they're basically a combination of many small and large components that can be dropped in and composed where needed. Components also are great for encapsulating markup, styles, and business logic. Thanks to that, it's easier to manage and scale applications. And we can also share these components between many different projects, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time. So it's very useful. Overall, there are many great things about Vue and the ecosystem around it. If I were to name a few things that we rely the most on, I think the top of the list would contain single file components, reactivity, and official libraries such as Vue CLI, Vue DevTools, Vue Router, and Vuex. With Vue CLI, we get a lot of great features such as hot module reloading, code transpilation, support for preprocessors, modern mode, and so on. Vue DevTools, on the other hand, are really great for tracking the state of components. They make the debugging process so much easier. Vue Router and Vuex, as official libraries, are an obvious choice for routing and global state management. And to be honest, this isn't the case with React, for instance, because these choices were left up to the community. So if you're not using Redux, which is still quite popular, it might be quite a hassle to choose a global state management library, as there are plenty of them. Another thing worth mentioning I believe, is the fact that Vue is a progressive framework. So basically, we don't need any additional tools to use it in a project because it can be added just via CDN link. I think this is really great for websites that require only a bit of interactivity, but also for legacy projects that need to be migrated. So there are a few ways in which Vue and the ecosystem helps us to save time and increase productivity. First, it's very easy to scaffold new projects with Vue CLI, so that definitely saves a lot of time, as we don't have to spend days on configuring and setting up Babel, Webpack, and other tools manually. Another useful thing is the fact that we can already use modern JavaScript in projects, as the code is transpiled to a format that is understood by all the browsers. The fact that Vue is so easy to learn and use is another great thing that saves a lot of time. So new developers don't need much time to get started with Vue, and they can start creating new features very quickly. So that's another great point. Other really nice things about Vue, I would say, are official documentation, which is very comprehensive, and a style guide that contains best and recommended practices for writing Vue components. The competitive advantage of using Vue is the fact that it allows us to develop fast and feature-rich applications in a much shorter period of time. Vue also has a very great ecosystem with large number of libraries, and thanks to that, if we need some kind of specific functionality, usually there's a package for it already. So we don't have to recreate all of it ourselves, but we can just install it and save a lot of time this way. What's more, throughout the last few years, the Vue core team managed to add new features to Vue without major breaking changes. And this is really great because our and our clients' applications do not require frequent major updates. So instead of wasting time on unnecessary updates and shuffling between different versions and documentations, we can focus on more important things. So there are two metrics that definitely did improve: the speed of developing applications and overall performance and loading times. Vue is extremely fast, and different techniques such as dynamic lazy loading, code splitting, and the previously mentioned modern mode help a lot with shipping only the code that a user needs at the time. A lot of our clients were really happy and satisfied with the applications that were developed with Vue, as they loaded very fast and provided great user experience. Vue 3 has been out already for quite some time. It has brought a lot of different enhancements such as improved performance, better TypeScript support, composition API, and more. For me personally, the most interesting feature is composition API. Besides working with Vue, I also work a lot with React, so I do know well how big of an impact hooks had when it comes to creation of shareable and reusable stateful logic. I can definitely say that composition API is one of the biggest and most important features that Vue 3 brings to the table. We and some of our clients have already started to use Vue 3 in production, mainly on internal projects rather than user-facing though. The ecosystem still needs a bit more time to catch up. Many libraries and UI frameworks do not provide Vue 3 compatible version yet. However, if you were wondering if you can use Vue 3 in production, the answer is yes. Just make sure you won't need any specific library that isn't compatible yet. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Here are some links if you would like to get in touch with me. You can find me on Code Mentor, Twitter, and you can also check out findlaywebtech.com and theroadtoenterprise.com. Enjoy the rest of the conference and have a great day.